Calaroga Shark Media.
Hello, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. I'm going to go a little slower today, catch my breath. I've got a lot to catch up on. Most of the weekend and Monday I had pre-taped to accommodate some travel. So this is just a bunch of stories that I didn't get a chance to comment on. Let's start with comedy specials. I watched Tig Notaro's special. It will make the end of the year list. Down in that bottom pack with Taylor Tomlinson and Brian Simpson. It'll be there. It's a good special. I laughed. Again, I'm a psychopath who has Emperor of Rome syndrome. If you're a new listener, I'll explain that. So I ran SiriusXM comedy for 10 years. And as doing that, I would sit at a desk every day listening to comedy, 10, 12 hours a day. And since these were comedy albums, this was everybody's best version of their best material. And I've become a comedy snob. And it's sort of fried my brain where often I'll watch a comedian, I'll be like, oh, that was really good. Oh, great callback. And if you hang out with actual comedians in the back of the room, they do the same thing. So when I actually laugh, I appreciate it. And Tig made me actually laugh. One thing that threw me off on the special is I've got an ear for edits, and I don't know, but it wouldn't shock me if possibly, perhaps, maybe somebody added some crowd noise to that one. It sounded a little bit off to me, and that throws me. And she didn't need to do that because the special was funny. So if somebody did sweeten the special, don't do that. At one point, she does sit down at a piano, and from there, I think it's diminishing returns. I'm not sure. I couldn't make it out of the piano section. I was just like, this thing just ground to a halt. Not sure on the decision there. But Tig Notaro's special is pretty good. Then I switched over to Steve Trevino, and it's fine. I bailed on it, not because it wasn't good. He's nice company. He's got nothing to say. It reminded me of your friend who had 3 beers and him going, hey, you know why Timmy's playing right field, right? Because he sucks. Like, it's basically that and basic marital humor. Again, fine. If you went to a club and Steve Trevino got up and did that material, you'd be like, oh, that guy was good. But like, it's not next level. So that won't make the list, but I don't hate it. Saturday Night Live with Ramy Youssef had some really good moments. Before I forget to mention it, Jost and Sarah Sherman, their chemistry is just amazing. They did a thing where Sarah was Flacco the Owl's widow. That was really solid. Sarah just knocks it out of the park. And Ramy Youssef, just so charismatic. His monologue was good. We'll talk about that in a bit. And I put the Steve Martin documentary on. It seems fine. I got like 15, 20 minutes into it. And I was kind of comedied out. And I'm really into Netflix's 3-Body Problem. And, I have a busy life. I don't get to watch all that much TV. And I'm like, I kind of want to get back to that. So Steve Martin and I will finish up on that. But again, seems perfectly fine. I have nothing bad to say about it. I was enjoying it. It's just I get TV ADD. Couple jokes from late night Jimmy Fallon. The CDC reports that sexually transmitted diseases are becoming more common among older adults. It's even worse the next morning when you've got to do the walker of shame. That joke's a bit hack, but it's funny. According to a new survey, 35% of men said it's important for them to smell good during their first sexual experience with a new partner, while the other 65% were given a fake phone number. Jerry Seinfeld was on with Fallon pushing this new Pop Tarts movie that's coming out, and I think in about a month. Quoting Jimmy Fallon, talking to Seinfeld here, Fallon said, you say, Jimmy, I did the movie, Unfrosted. It came out great. It's locked, but I think there's still room to get Jimmy Fallon in this movie. And then Fallon explained Seinfeld threw a curveball at him, going, I don't want you to act. I want you to sing a song. Seinfeld said, Marc Ronson wrote the music. I wrote the lyrics. Fallon read those lyrics, which are, please give me that sweet morning heat every single day of the week. You've got all the loving I need. Give me that sweet morning heat. Then they played some of the song. Hugh Grant shared some of his experiences with Jerry on the set of Pop Tarts. Grant said he's definitely great in a Tony the Tiger kind of way. Jerry brings different things to the table. He's a brilliant comic. He'd written a great script. He and his team are able to massage the scene and the whole time and come up with new jokes left, right, and center. He was lovely and very supportive of me. Grant explains his character was a very grand theater thespian who thought all this was very beneath him. So that's really the joke of the whole thing. I do appear once or twice as Tony the Tiger, but otherwise I'm this tortured theater actor. Seinfeld told Jimmy Fallon Grant was a major headache. We had lots of fights. He's a pain in the ass to work with. He's horrible. He tells you before you work with him, you're going to hate this. And he's so right. We shot for 10 weeks. That night he and I had dinner and we got drunk having dinner. And that was the greatest night because he's so cool and he's that English thing, that witty. He looks good at jacket. He's one of those guys. I love those guys. Unfrosted, Netflix, May 3rd. Jerry's been out and about a lot. Last Thursday, he was at Billy Joel's 100th concert at the MSG residency. Can we talk about Billy Joel for a second? So I'm 50, what am I, 54? Boy, I'm so old, I can't remember how old I am. I'm 54. So, I like the 70s, 80s rock music. And it boggles my mind that there was a point where Billy Joel and Bruce Springsteen were neck and neck. I mean, the catalog matched. And then Billy just stopped And over time, as I pay more and more attention to Billy's music, I'm like, these are all gimmick songs. Like, his very few straightforward songs, they all have some sort of gimmick. And We Didn't Start the Fire is terrible. But I digress. Billy Joel was there playing the Garden. Apparently, a lot of people like this Billy Joel fellow more than I do because he sold out the Garden 100 times. And I'm sitting here in the basement recording a podcast. Seinfeld called Billy Joel's MSG residency a beautiful medallion on this career that he's had. There's 3 things that make Billy a genius of music: the voice, the music, the writing of the most beautiful songs. But there's another thing about Billy that makes him so unique and so special. There's no such thing as so unique, Jerry. It's unique or not unique. There's no modifier on unique. It's a pet peeve of mine. But the other thing about Billy that makes him so unique and so special is that we captured how we all feel living in this particular part of the world, Long Island and New York. He's like the companion that we've gone through our whole lives with. His music is our best friend for our whole life. I don't even think he can understand how much his music means to us from where we are. I feel like going through Billy Joel's discography. If you don't want to hear this, hit skip for 1 minute. Indulge me. Spotify has made a playlist called This Is Billy Joel, the essential tracks. Uptown Girl. It's fun, but it's a gimmick song. Vienna Solid, Piano Man, great song, but it's a gimmick. We Didn't Start the Fire is terrible and a gimmick. It's still rock and roll to me as a gimmick song. She's Always a Woman is solid. My Life is solid. Great song. Turn the Lights Back On. What is that? Is that the new one? Yeah, that's the new one. The River of Dreams, Nobody Cares About, Just the Way You Are. Solid song. So I take it back. There was that little period there where Billy Joel was just doing great songs. The Longest Time is a gimmick song because the entire Innocent Man album is a gimmick album. You May Be Right is solid. Only the Good Die Young is great. New York State of Mind, a little gimmicky. Tell Her About It's a gimmick. Don't Ask Me Why is perfect. Moving Out is great. She's Got Away. All right, Allentown is a gimmick. Big Shot is great. Pressure is great. I take it all back, but I'm leaving it in. But you see what I'm saying? There's a lot of gimmick songs in there. Maybe I just need to make a playlist. I'm going to do that later today. I'm making myself a playlist of non-gimmicky Billy Joel straightforward rockers. All right, I have totally digressed. Larry David in the news. Apple TV is bringing back Fraggle Rock, and The Hollywood Reporter caught up with the puppeteers of Fraggle Rock, and they are not happy with Larry David. Remember Larry David attacked Elmo? One of the puppeteers said, there's a person's hand inside of there. That wasn't a planned thing. So the puppeteer in me was like, oh my God, that's super dangerous. Like you just grabbed somebody's hand and twisted it. People forget all the time. There's somebody inside of these characters when you don't see us. And so it's a risk we take. Yes, puppeteering is extremely dangerous. Larry David also upset some people on the political front. He was on CNN and accused Trump of throwing 250 years of democracy out the window. Quoting Larry, you can't go a day without thinking about what he's done in this country because he's such a little baby. He's throwing 250 years of democracy out the window by not accepting the results of an election. It's so crazy. He's such a sociopath. He's so insane. He couldn't admit to losing. And we know he lost. He knows he's lost. And look how he's fooled everybody. He's convinced all these people that he didn't lose. He's such a sick man. He's so sick. Larry calmed down and said, anyway, no, it hasn't impacted me at all. Jon Stewart was in the news. The headline in the New York Post, Jon Stewart benefited by 829% overvalue of his NYC home, even as he labels Trump civil case not victimless. Late Nighter explained that Jon Stewart last Monday, 8 days ago, took defenders of Donald Trump to task by arguing that when Trump inflated the value of his real estate assets to get better terms on loans and insurance, it was a victimless crime. Stewart said that money isn't infinite, and when one person gets a loan because they lied, it means there's less money available for loan seekers who give an honest valuation of their assets, hence not a victimless crime. The Post suggested that Stewart himself paid real estate taxes on his home based on the city's valuation of his property, but then sold it for significantly more, making him, Jon Stewart, a hypocrite. Jon Stewart reacted, tweeting, OMG, I've been caught doing something not remotely similar to Trump. I guess all I need to do now is start a fraud college, steal classified docs, bankrupt casinos, pay hush money, grab, not going to read that word, grab things that you grab. Actually, you don't grab. You don't do that. The kind of thing that people stand outside buses and talk about grabbing, you don't do that. Pay hush money, thing I just mentioned, discriminate in housing, cheat at golf, and foment insurrection, and you'll revere me. Twitter user CatTurd wrote, Unfunny hypocrite thief says what? Neil Brennan special's coming out on April 9th. He told people, this one had been kind of developing while I was doing blocks. Blocks are so emo and so self-caring and sort of navel-gazing. And like most people, I'm kind of split. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it's effective or it might feel good, but I don't know if this is the best course. I was just getting sick of feeling sorry for myself and everyone on Earth kind of feeling sorry for themselves. But there's an upside to bad mental health. In fact, there's a massive upside to it. So that's sort of where I was coming from. Despite what you want to call it, poor mental health or imperfect mental health, I kind of got through it and I ended up with a bunch of material that was sort of expressing that. And then also the idea of this other sort of wind that was blowing culturally was this idea that comedians are the moral backstop for the rest of society, which was like, where'd you guys get that? So Neil, Crazy Good, April 9th. There's a trailer. The trailer is quite stylized, fast edits, out-of-time edits. In the middle of a joke, they'll show Neil reacting to something. So I'm going to share a little bit of the trailer, but as edited as the original trailer is, I've edited even more. Here's a quick clip.
The sun is basically the cops for white people. Following us around everywhere we go, killing our cousins for no reason. And then when I tell my black friends that the sun killed my cousin, they're like, well, what was he wearing?
Today, Dimitri Martin, Dimitri Deconstructed, Netflix. Dimitri's already going to tape his next special April 13th at the Paramount Theater in Denver. Kyle Kinane's Dirt Nap is out on YouTube today. So Johnny Mac's got a big night planned in front of the television. Isaac went on Apple Podcasts and left a review. It says, thanks for putting less ads. I love this podcast. Thank you, Isaac. Isaac says, I changed my 1 star back to 5 because of less ads. I love this podcast and listen every day. Thanks for keeping me in the loop about the latest comedy specials. Thank you for listening. So the ad load should be 1 pre-roll, 3 in the mid, and 2 in the post. I'm quite open. This is a money-making enterprise. I'm trying to make a living off this. I like sitting in the basement and talking to you. I dabbled with commercial-free subscriptions for a while, and it just, it wasn't even that it wasn't worth the money. It wasn't worth the effort. You have to like double load things, and the back-end stuff I won't bore you with. It just takes forever to do, and I was like, it's just not worth my time to do it. So I find a better way is to ask you guys to go to buymeacoffee.com/Daily Comedy News and support the show that way. Aaron did that. Aaron bought me 2 coffees, $10. Thank you very much, Aaron. And Isaac, thanks for switching the review back. I did have 2 pre-rolls at the beginning, and now I only have 1, so maybe that is what you're hearing. And this week, there's obviously a live read, so that makes the show just a little bit longer. But also the podcast itself, I've been hitting more like 20 minutes lately. So I guess the same spot load you notice when it's a 9-minute podcast versus a 22-minute podcast. Like today is long, so the ads came a lot later in the mix. I don't know. I'm here to make money. I'm just being honest. I put out a new Substack at mcdpod.substack.com. The Substack is free. If that asks you for money, just pick the free option. That one, I'm not trying to make money off that. I just like sharing my thoughts. I wrote about April Fool's jokes in radio, so check that out, mcdpod.substack.com. A link in the show notes. Joe Coy, he spoke to the Seattle Times and said the theme of his current tour is where he's at now in his life. Joe said, I'm older now, so we were talking about that. Life is changing. Now all the hair is gray, so I got to keep it shaved down really close to my head. I'm in a happier place. It's not so stressful. My son is an adult now, and he's thinking about his life. And that's the best part about being a dad. Seeing your offspring grow into an adult, I think those are wise words. My children are a little older now, and I'm like, yeah, they are nice adults. I like my children. Thanks, Johnny Mac. We're glad you like your children. I know, right? Joe Coy, you may remember, he hosted, I love this bit, he hosted the Golden Globes, and he made just the meanest joke about Taylor Swift. It's so horrible. I almost don't want to play it for you, but just in context, I think you need to hear the mean thing Joe Coy said about Taylor Swift.
As you know, we came on after a football doubleheader. The big difference between the Golden Globes and the NFL, on the Golden Globes, we have fewer camera shots of Taylor Swift.
Terrible, terrible, terrible. Ramy Youssef crushed it on SNL, at least the monologue part. This part in particular got a lot of media pickup. A little long, but let me play it for you.
I'm one of the only guys who prays. Like, I'm friends with a lot of sinners. Like, just disgusting people. And they call me when they're in trouble because they want me to pray for them, right? So I get a call from my buddy Brian. He's stressed. He's been in court for 10 months. With his ex, and they're fighting over the dog. And he goes, Ramy, dude, she doesn't take care of the dog. She feeds him kibble. She doesn't even feed him wet food. And I need him back. It's just destroying my life. Please, man, pray for me. I need him. And I'm like, dude, all right, I got you. An hour goes by. I get a friend, my friend Ahmed, calling me. His whole family's in Gaza. And he goes, Ramy, they're suffering. I don't know where half of them are. I don't know what to do. Please pray for them. It's the only thing we can do. And I'm like, dude, I got you, right? So that night, I go to pray, and my prayers are complicated. I've got a lot to fit in. I'm like, God, please help Ahmed's family. Please stop the suffering. Stop the violence. Please free the people of Palestine. Please. Please. And please free the hostages, all the hostages, please. And while you're at it, free Mr. Bojangles. I mean, he's a beautiful dog. I'm praying for that dog.
Also, great jokes in the news. Michael Che said Joe Biden will visit the Baltimore Bridge collapse site because, like that bridge, Biden is no longer connecting with black communities. Great joke. Colin Jost talked about Trump's Bible and said that it includes the Constitution, the Pledge, and I assume God's letter of resignation. He then tagged it with the Bible's mostly the same, but Trump's version ends with Jesus and his disciples storming Jerusalem to overturn the results of the crucifixion. Wow. I'm going to do Melbourne quickly today because we're getting a little long. All right, it is April 3rd in Melbourne. Today, I will pick shows that don't have clips so we can go a little more quickly, but let me tell you what's going on. Melbourne International Comedy Festival goes all the way till April 21st. As I'm talking and babbling, this slow website is still loading. All right, while the website loaded, I went and I got my car washed and I picked up some coffees on the way back. It's finally loaded now. John Glover's show is called Microsoft Orifice. That's at the Catfish Bar. Let's see what the description of this one is. Join John and some others for some water cooler gossip as he dismantles your work culture, publicly doxes your Finsta, and spends 45 minutes of the show trying to set up a new modem, calling all millennials colleagues and corporate cucks. Brace yourself for an evening of hilarious stand-up comedy that HR doesn't want you to see. The Age gave it 4 stars and says, razor-sharp one-liners are aplenty, and timing is spot on. This is a budding comic to watch. Now, he does have a clip. This website is terrible. It didn't... I'm babbling. The shows say clip here on some of the acts, and as you heard last week, sometimes I do that and there is no clip. This one didn't mention a clip, which is why I picked it, because I'm trying to wrap up the podcast today in less than half an hour, but there's a clip. So since we're here, let's listen to the clip, huh?
I've recently started sitting down to pee. It's quite nice. It's time you're not getting back. Everyone should really give it a shot. Make some noise if you sit down to pee. Oh yeah, some women over here, all the women on this side, silent. Everyone here, you're like, we're an agent of chaos, we don't care, who cares? But honestly, like, just as a PSA for the men in the room, are there any gay men here, by the way? Woo! My one friend in Newcastle who came out, thank you so much, man.
He's fun. He's got a tremendous presence too, like him a lot. All right. Speaking of presence, I totally forgot. Ramy Youssef, the camera loves him. He just looks good. He's so charismatic. All right, here's another one that supposedly doesn't have a clip. James Warren's King Single. And indeed, it does not have a clip. Let's see. James Warren's King Single, a show of jokes, observations, and stories about going to parties, living alone, and dating as a person with mild autism. The reviews here, only one from the infamous Swanston Gazette, which I'm now curious about. I'm going to click on. The Swanston Gazette says, careful comedic timing. There's a review for you. Let's see. The Swanston Gazette is a student-led paper at RMIT's university. Oh, we are going down a rabbit hole. Some of the featured articles on the Swanston Gazette: menstruation, the bloody big question mark, and unplugging from news or plugging news alternatively. Hashtag Palestine, hashtag Israel. Also, hairdressing in crisis. Australian hairdressers are being overlooked in the cost of living crisis. So again, the Swanston Gazette, the only review here on James Warren's page, Swanston Gazette says, careful comedic timing. I should get out there, but I want to tell you Liz Mealy has a new comedy special also out today, free on YouTube, 9 p.m. Eastern. It's called Murder Sheets. Liz is someone you should absolutely keep an eye on. Filmed live at the Bell House in Brooklyn, Liz hit the stage with her rapid-fire storytelling style to share her tales of dating, murder, rules about edibles, international touring, dead cats, and more. Liz at Mealy.com. And that is your comedy news for today. All right, a little different today. I enjoyed today. Hope you did too. Would love your comments on Billy Joel. I am actually going to make that playlist. I'll even share it so you can nitpick it. That's your comedy news for today. Follow the show for free. Tell a friend about it and all that. See you tomorrow.